Okay, in today's lesson, we're going to learn about Concord. I believe many of you, this is not your first time hearing the word Concord. Yeah, literally, really, it means subject-verb agreements. That's laws and examination fallacy for Unilag OAU Ife and University Foundation Program. Yeah, and in every sentence, the subject and the verb must agree. Yeah, there are three types of sentences. We have the simple sentence, we have the compound sentence and the complex sentence. Compound sentences are sentences that are joined with fanboys. I believe some of you would have heard about fanboys. Fanboys, the acronym, the full meaning of fanboys is like F is for, A and, um, N no, B but, O Y. Let me send it to you on the chat box. Oh, let me see if this can be used. I'm coming. Let me try to use my annotation. Okay, it's not working here. Okay, so I'll send it on the chat box. Fanboys. So when you have sentences that is joined with two clauses, when they are joined with any of these acronym, F is for, A and, N no, D but. I know some of you would know this is a basic lesson on conjunction, but I'm just rewinding just because of those that I don't know this. Yet and so. So when you have two clauses that is joined with this, when two clauses are joined with this, yeah, it means the sentence is a compound sentence. So the next one is complex. Complex is when you have a subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction could be since, it could be although, it would be um, if, when, etc. So when you have subordinating conjunction, yeah, when they start a word like a sentence, in that kind of in complex sentence, you always have two sentences. One is the independent clause, the clause that contains the subordinating conjunction, and the other is the dependent clause. The independent clause is the one that have the subject and verb. Yeah, it makes complete sense. Like this, it can stand on its own. However, the dependent clause is the one that starts or maybe in the middle, it has a subordinating conjunction, which I mentioned could be since, although, however, etc. Yeah. So for this lesson, I want to learn the mastery of concord. That's subject and verb agreement. Okay, so let's move on. I think we have someone at the waiting room. Let's move on to the next slide. So the objective of this lesson, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to learn the 12 non-negotiable laws of Concord tested in premium academic examinations to semantic deep diving, understand the grammatical why instead of relying on conversational institution. Okay. Many candidates fail Concord because they sound the sentence out. Post-UTME examiners specifically construct questions that sound perfect to untrained ears, but systematically violate the codified laws of formal English syntax. So today we're going to replace intuitions with rules. Still have people at the waiting room. So let's start with the rule. The basic and accompaniment concord, that's the basic. The first rule of concord says a singular
Mm.
subject requires a singular verb.
Mhm.
Start. So a singular subject requires a singular verb. Singular in the sense that when you have a day, shola, he, she, it, they are all regarded as singular. So they should attract what? Singular verbs. Singular verbs in the sense that because some students still get it a bit confusing, the difference between singular verbs and plural verb. So, okay, let's pay attention to this verb, jump. Jump can be a main verb in a sentence, either simple, compound, or complex. Yeah, jump. So this singular, to make jump singular, yeah, jump would turn to, you have to add s to it. So jump would turn to jumps. That's a singular verb for jump. But plural will be jump. Please pay attention to that because that's where many students miss it. They always think the singular form of jump is jump. No, the singular form of jump is jumps. The plural is what? Jump. So when you have singular noun or pronoun, for example, she is, okay, she jumps. It won't be she jumps. So you always pay attention to the rule of concord. A singular subject requires what? A singular verb, but a plural subject, on the other hand, requires what? A plural what? Verb. The student is writing. The student is what? Student is what? Singular. It should attract what? Is writing, not the students are writing. You can see this is writing, make it continuous, but we've done lesson on that. We've taken lesson on that. This is a continuous tense because of this. The verb is writing. Yeah. So the student is writing is correct. This is a very good rule of concord. It satisfies it. The second one, the students are writing. Yeah, the students here was plural. That would automatically attract what? A plural verb, which is are. So accompaniment concord. When a subject is accompanied by phrases like as well as, along with, together with, in addition to, accompanied by, including, except, no less than, the verb must agree strictly with the first subject. So you always pay attention to the subject. The subject of every sentence is the doer of the sentence. So it's always important you understand different word frames in English, so that way you have a better command of it. Okay, let's look at this example. Okay, the rule here is that when a subject is accompanied by all these phrases that I mentioned earlier, yeah, so the first subject would automatically determine what the verb that you would use. The first subject alone, ignore the intervening plural nouns, just ignore them. Pay attention to the first subject to determine what the state of the verb you're going to use. Okay, let's pay attention to this sentence now. The lecturers, as well as his students, is expected in the auditorium. Yeah, you can see here now, the lecturer, as well as the students, his students is expected in the auditorium. So I would like you to tell me the subject in this sentence. Please send it to me on the chat box. I want to know, that way I want to know if we are on the same page. What's the subject of this sentence? Tell me the subject and tell me the state. Is it singular or plural? The lecturer as well as a student is expected to in the auditorium. What is the subject of this sentence? After you tell me the subject, you're going to tell me if the subject is singular or plural. I'm waiting. We need to be very fast. Yeah, thank you. Someone have. Very good. Very good. Thank you, editors. Yeah, the subject is what? The lecturer. The lecturer is the doer of this activity, of this sentence. So you have to pay attention to it. And I told you that whenever a sentence is accompanied by phrases like as well as, along with, together with, yeah, please ignore whatever comes after those phrases. Just pay attention to the subject itself. It will determine what? The verb. And looking at the subject now, the lecturer is singular. Automatically, it would have what? A singular verb, which is what? Is. So you can't use are, yeah. Some students will look at this, oh, the lecturer as well as a student. Yeah, some people would even go as far as arguing with you that, oh, as well as the student, the single students are plural with the lecturers. Oh, that would be are. Please don't choose are in this case. Just ignore whatever accompany that as well as. Just pay attention to the sentence, the subject, that's the doer of the action in the sentence, which is the lecturer. Okay. Some people have dropped as well. The lecturer. Lecturer is the subject, yeah. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. The next one is what? Proximity concord. When two subjects are joined by correlative conjunction, such as either or, neither nor, but not only but also. The verb must agree in person and number with the closest subject to it. The closest will determine the subject, the verb. For example, neither the parent nor the child is present. So please, you can, people that are very good at maths, you can just cancel this. I like maths as well, so I love to do elimination, substitution. I could say that in your lessons, you're doing, I think, some simultaneous equations. Yeah, I love eliminating stuff. So you can just cancel this and look for the noun that is closest to the verb. So that would be the determinant of what the verb. So looking at this sentence now, neither the parent nor this child. So this closest subject to the verb is what? Is singular, child. We're talking about one child. Yeah. We don't have children. We have child. So automatically that would have a what? Singular verb, which is what? Is. Child is present, not child are present. Please ignore whatever comes before that. And the next one, neither the child nor the parents. Yeah, you can see the parents. Parents is the closest subject to what? The noun are. So parents are present, not parents is present. Please pay attention to that. If you have any question, please do not hesitate. Kindly drop it on the chat box. I'll be happy to answer them accordingly. The next rule of concord is what? Quantity and fractional concord. In expressions of fraction, percentage, or parts, half of, some of, majority of, 70% of, the verbs agree with the noun that follows the preposition of. The noun that follows the preposition will determine what? The verb. I hope that resonates with you. I hope it resonates well with you. Yeah. In this kind of case, when you have expressions of fractions, percentage, parts. So the noun that follows the preposition of, half of, some of, a majority of, 70% of, whatever noun that you have after it will determine what the verb. It will determine if the verb will be singular or it will be plural. Okay, let's look at these examples. 2/3 of the water. You know, water is an uncountable noun. An uncountable noun always attracts what? Singular verb. Yeah. Water cannot be count is an uncountable noun, so it will be regarded as singular. So it will be water is contaminated. You cannot say water are contaminated. Yeah, I think I've explained the rules of that. The rule of that. The next one is 2/3 of the students. You can see, I told you that you should pay attention to the noun that follows of 2/3 of the students. The students is what? Plural. Students, plural. So that would automatically attract what? A plural verb, which is are. Students are present. I hope you understand. If you don't understand, please drop a question on the chat box. And if you want us to continue, kindly drop your reaction. If you don't show a reaction, I won't continue. That means you don't understand. So I need the reaction to move on to the next slide. So kindly drop a reaction. Okay. Only Esther. How about others? Seems others don't understand. Only Esther understand the lesson. Can we proceed? Still Esther. I'm waiting for others. Mine. Or is it that I'm too fast? If you want us to okay, I think I have questions. Yeah. Only Esther is with us. Okay, proceed. Okay. Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, let's proceed. Next, relative clauses and indefinite pronouns. Relative clauses concord when a relative pronoun which that is used as a subject. The verb must agree with the antecedent, the noun directly preceding the relative clause. That's the word antecedent. Look at it. He is one of the men who walk. Look at this. The relative clause here is what? Who. They explain the state of the verb or the noun. So he was one of the men who. The relative clause here is what? Who. It could be what, sometimes it can be what, you can have which. So the antecedent now will directly determine what? The subject. The antecedent now here is what? Men. Men is plural, so that would definitely attract what? A plural what? Verb, which is what? Walk. He is one of the men who walk here. That's it. The next one is rule 6, indefinite pronoun concord. Indefinite pronoun like each, every, everyone, someone, nobody, somebody, either of, neither of, each of are grammatically what? Termed as singular. Everyone, even everyone. I think many students do mix it up. Yeah, whenever you have any indefinite pronoun, please treat them as singular accordingly. And must always take what? Singular verbs. Neither of the candidates, forget candidates. Yeah, look at this neither. Neither is what indefinite pronoun. So that would attract what singular verb, which is qualified. Neither of the candidates is qualified. Each of the students receives a manual. Each of the students receives a manual. So the next rule now is what? Many A plus mandative subjunctive. Okay. The many A concord. While the word many, okay, I think we have test. While the word many takes a plural noun and a plural verb, the complex expression many A must strictly take a singular noun followed by a singular verb. When you have many a man, many a man, many a man, please, you should have what? Singular. But when you have many students, that's what? Plural. But many a, please pay attention to that a. If you don't see that a and you see many, please go for plural. But when you see many a, so that would be what? Singular. Many a students has failed the test. Many students have failed the test. So you can see these two sentences now. The difference between this is what? This A that comes after many. The first one is just many students. It doesn't have A. So that's what automatically have what? Have. Because of these students is plural. Many students have. But here we have many A. And I said if many A comes before the subject here, the subject should be what? Treated as what? A singular verb. Many A, when it takes on singular noun, yeah, singular. So many A students has failed the test. Next is what the subjunctive conjunction in expressions of demand, request, suggestions, or in sentences using verbs like demand, suggest, recommend, insist, propose that plus that. The verb in the dependent clause must be in its base infinitive. Yeah, this is very important to pay attention to it. Whenever you see something like infinitive form, that is the basic form, the base form, without so or s. For example, I suggest that he study tonight. Some of you will be like, wow, how can it be I or he? Okay, he is singular, that will attract singular verb. No, because of this expression, because of this expression, I told you that whenever we have request, suggestion in sentences, demand, suggest, recommend, insist, propose, that, plus that. So any verb that must come after it should be in the base form. Suggest here, I suggest that he study. Study is the base form of the word study. That's the base form. You know, we have study, studies, yes, study, studies, studied. Yeah, please don't turn it to singular or plural or past or anything. Yeah, just make it in the base form because of this word suggest. The next one, they demanded that. So you can see they demanded plus that. It should still be in the base form. They demanded that she be present. She be present. Yeah, be is the base form. Not was. Not was present. She be present. Please pay attention to all these rules. So there are some questions here. I want you to do them. Okay, someone said I should go over rule 1 and 2. I'm happy to do that. And 5 and 6. Okay. I love people that are expressive. When you don't know something, you put hacks 1 and 2. Let's quickly go over it. Don't worry about the, if our time cannot permit, I can send the questions to you on the WhatsApp group. Okay, someone said I should go over this rule 1 and 2. The first rule is the basic concord rule, the one that explains that a singular subject requires a singular verb. You know, in every sentence, we always have the subject and the verb. The subject is simply the word, the doer of the sentence, someone, the person that is actively involved, carrying out the action. The person that is carrying out, it could be a person, it could be the thing, they are carrying out the action in a sentence. So, you know, the subject could, it could be in singular form or plural form. So when it's, the rule here is stating that when the subject is singular, it should attract what? A singular verb. The student is writing, not the students are writing. The student here is singular. That would attract what? A singular verb. On the other hand, when you have a what? Plural subject, you would also have what? The plural verb. The students, this is plural, are writing. So that's it. That's 4. It can come in different forms. Just pay attention to what the subject is. It singular or is it plural? If it's plural, please go for plural verb. If it's singular, go for singular verb. The second one, accompaniment what? Concord. When a subject is accompanied by phrases, yeah, pay attention to the subject in this kind of sentence. Whenever you have a subject that is accompanied by phrases like as well as, along with, together with, in addition to, accompanied by, including, except, no less than, I've mentioned all these phrases here. The four subjects alone determines the verb. Ignore any intervening plural noun. Look at this subject now. The lecturer as well as a student. I told you that whenever you have anything that is accompanied by as well as, together with, yeah, ignore all the things that follows it. Go back to the first subject. It will determine the word, the verb. The lecturer is expected in the auditorium, not the lecturer are expected. Some students will be looking at students here. Please cut, you can just cancel them. Like you try to eliminate. I'm trying to use my annotations too, but it's not working. If not for that, I would have eliminated this. So the lecturer is expected in the auditorium. I hope you understand. Okay. So let's move on to 5 and 6. Someone said that I should explain that again. I'll be happy to do that. Yeah. In this case now, we have relative clause concord, sorry. When a relative pronoun like who, which, that is used as a subject, whenever you have a relative pronoun used as a subject, the verb must agree with the antecedent. That's the antecedent is the noun before what? The relative what? The relative pronoun. The noun directly preceding the relative pronoun. Look at this. Antecedent is just like the word before. Please don't let the grammar complicate issue for you. Look at this. He is one of the men who walk here. He is one of the men. Pay attention to who here. You know, who is the one that refers to what? Now, now, okay. Who refers to people? So who, pay attention to who. Look for the noun that comes before this who, which is what? Men. And it's what? Is it in singular or plural? In this case now it's what? Plural. So that means the verb that follows this would be in what? Plural. So men who walk. You know, the plural of the plural of walk is walk, not walks. Walks is singular. Walk is plural. So this men will determine, because this men is the antecedent before, it will determine the verb, which is what? Walk. That's it. Very easy. And the next one, indefinite pronoun concord. Indefinite pronouns are pronouns like each, every, everyone, someone. I know we always come across all these kind of pronouns. Nobody, either of, neither of, each of are grammatically termed as singular. When you have them, they are grammatically termed as singular. So you're going to treat them as singular. When you have them as a subject, please treat them as singular. They would attract singular what verb, because that is a the rule of concord. A singular verb noun would attract what singular verb, plural noun or pronoun will attract what plural verb. The subject and verb must agree as far as concord is concerned. Okay, look at this. Neither of the candidates. Please, I don't care about this candidate. This neither has shown me that this neither is what? An indefinite pronoun concord. So this is an indefinite pronoun and it refers to what? Singular. So it would have a singular word verb, which is. Neither of the candidates is qualified. Each of the students receives a manual. Each is an indefinite pronoun. Receives, that's the verb, because each is what? Singular, because it's an indefinite pronoun and it should be treated as singular. So, and the rule of concord is that the subject and the verb must agree. So singular subjects each would have what? A singular verb, which is receive. So each of the candidate receives a manual. I hope you're clear. If you still have anything, you can always send it to me. Okay, someone said I should still explain rule 4 again. Okay, I'll be happy to do that. Okay, rule 4. This is the one that is related to quantity and fraction concord. In expressions of fractions, percentage or parts, this is expressions related to mathematics, my mathematics gurus. Okay, when you have half of, some of, a majority of, 70% of, the verb agrees with the noun that follows the preposition of. You know, of is preposition. Any noun that follows this of will determine the verb. If the noun that follows of is singular, the verb will be singular. If the noun that follows of is plural, the verb will be plural. Okay, let's pay attention to these examples. Two-thirds of the water is contaminated. Two-thirds of the water, you can see two-thirds of the noun that follows the the preposition of. Is it singular? That's what you're going to pay attention. Is it singular or plural? Look at this. The water. Water is an uncountable noun. So it's treated as what? Singular, because it's an uncountable noun. You cannot count it. So the water, because of I told you that any word that follows the word of, any noun or that follows the preposition of will determine what the verb. So water is singular, that's singular verb. Water is contaminated. That's why we have this. The next one, two-thirds of the students. Students here is the noun that the subject that follows what? Of. The preposition of. The students, you can see the student is what? It's plural. So plural would automatically have what? A plural verb, which is are. So simple. Any question? If you understand, you can type I understand or show a reaction. Now we are going to move on to, okay, kindly explain rule 4. Okay, this one, I got the message before. Okay, good, good, good. Still have it. Yeah. So next is a practice question.